13 Reasons Why attracted the audience with a heartbreaking story of Hannah Baker who could no longer tolerate the pain of her teenage life, the rape and all the bullying, so she decided to take her own life. The tape she left for the entire world to see, deep into her thoughts and what she was going through. But there are certainly some people who were worse than others. That's why today, we will be looking at the 13 Reasons Why, 5 most hated characters, and 5 loved by fans. Let's jump right in, shall we? Number 5, Mr. Porter. Mr. Porter almost made our list as one of the most liked characters on the series, but he was Hannah's last hope and he let her down. School counselors are there for a reason. It's to help students that are having a rough time deal with their problems. When Hannah called for Mr. Porter to give her a hand and pull her up from the ditch, he just looked at her. This doesn't mean he took all the blame, but then again, he remained detached from the whole thing. When Clay finally confronted him, we got to see just how sorry he was about what happened to Hannah. His eyes filled with tears as he was telling the courtroom and the victim's parents how sorry he was he didn't at least try to stop Hannah. And we got to see him giving a lesson to BRYCE in the men's toilet. He sure won't be forgetting that one anytime soon. Number 4, Marcus Cole. If you want to know just how big of an a-hole this guy was, listen to what he said about Hannah leaving the tapes after her death. She just wanted attention, and leaving those tapes, that's a effed up thing to do. No one deserves that. Looks like someone was having a second thought about their reaction. He's pretty nasty if you ask us. He was the number 6 reason for Hannah's death. When he agreed to go out on the $1 Valentine date with her, Hannah didn't know what she was getting herself into. He came an hour late to the date. Then he showed up with his jock friends, and he even molested Hannah when he groped her on the side of her thigh. She pushed him away, but he ruined whatever dignity she had left and called her easy. This led Hannah down the path of no return. Number 3, Annie Achola. God, she's annoying. Always butting her nose where she's not supposed to be. She's manipulative, always lying to cover her butt, and she's kind of repulsive. Even though she's no match for any of the guys we're about to unveil, she's pretty far up there. We all know she and Clay had a little thing going on, but even then, she couldn't help but meddle in his business. She rewrote Clay's college application for him and submitted it in his name. Needless to say, the guy freaked out when he found out. And guess what she did? She smashed that like button in case you haven't done that already. But in reality, she was the one that felt hurt in this situation. Does she not see people don't need her help? And don't get us started on her relationship with BRYCE. Even though we got to see a brand new side of the macho jock thanks to her, this was no excuse for her to be involved in a sexual relationship with a rapist. Number 2, Monty. Tyler, these are $1,000 cameras. Montgomery, oh yeah? And I'll break them on your face. See that? This guy is a different kind of jerk. He's the kind of guy that makes you want to slap him. His hot-headedness is probably understandable, knowing that he had a very difficult and abusive relationship with his father. He is arrogant, confrontatious, and fighting is his second nature. There's no talking with this guy. It's just fists and kicks. To further our point, he hangs out with the other jocks like BRYCE. He's quite the tool, isn't he? And of course, there's always the gruesome scene where he smashed Tyler's head in the bathroom mirror, banged his head against the sink, and then dragged that poor boy over to the toilet where he flushed his head and sodomized him with the broom handle. Number 1, BRYCE. There are no words to describe how awful a guy this character is. The nearest we've come to doing so is calling him a monster. And even that feels inadequate. He's one of the reasons Hannah killed herself, and you might not even call him the main reason she did it. His aggressive and blunt nature make him the worst character that has come on the show. And even if you thought, hey, maybe he's changed. Maybe he really felt bad about raping Hannah, and he feels terrible about all the things that he has done to make her life miserable, aka groping her in public. It felt that way when he heard Hannah's tapes in the car. He seemed like he finally wanted to turn his life around when they picked him up so he doesn't freeze to death. But then, as Alex picked him up, he showed his true face. He began threatening them and said he'll get his revenge eventually. Not nice, Bryce. Not nice at all. Especially when your life depends on the mercy of the guy that's carrying you. Number 5. Zach Dempsey. As we said, we were really trying to figure out who to include as the first character in the 5 most liked list. But when it came down to Mr. Potter and Zach, we decided to go with the second one. The reason we did this was because, unlike Mr. Porter, Zach actually tried to right the wrong and bring justice to Hannah by incapacitating Bryce by breaking his leg. And yes, we know this wasn't the moral thing to do, but we kind of felt strangely satisfied watching him beat the crap out of Bryce. Zach is disrespectful and stubborn when it comes to girls, but even though this hot-headed jock has had a few flaws, he really shines through in the coming seasons. Hannah mentioned him as her reason 7 for her suicide for bullying and slut-shaming her, but he does seem to have a kind heart. He is really a good guy who loves Hannah, and the two were even in a relationship together. He continues apologizing for the way he's treated her in the past, and she forgives him. This goes to show you how caring Zach actually is. Number 4. Jessica Davis. Jessica has played a major role in Season 3 and Season 4 on 13 Reasons Why. She is the girl that was raped just like Hannah, and can you guess who did it? Why, Bryce, of course. And he did it while she was completely wasted and couldn't remember a thing. But Hannah revealed the truth in her tapes. Slowly but surely, Jessica's memories started coming back, and because of this, she started the HO department at her school, where she aimed to help other rape victims on campus. Not to mention, she even started a protest during the football game where fought against rape culture. Further in the season, we got to see her becoming comfortable with her body, and she got involved with Justin in a few hot and steamy scenes. Number 3. Justin Foley. I made a lot of mistakes, man. Sometimes I feel like that's all life is. It's just all the mistakes you make and all the crap you gotta do to set it right. This guy seems to live by those lines. He's the true embodiment of change. He was one of the main antagonists in the first season and then became the main protagonist in all of the other seasons. He was initially friends with Bryce, and he defends him by telling Jessica they had sex the night it was drunk and it wasn't Bryce. When Jess finally finds out, she breaks up with him, and then he spends the rest of his life in high school trying to make things right. He even testifies against Bryce during Hannah's parents' court hearing. Number 2. Tyler Down. He's probably the most troubled character on the set. For example, he went through rape, bullying, and all of his friends rejecting him. He even wanted to go on a shooting spree at school just to see Monty suffer. Luckily, he didn't go through with his plan. He begins healing and he befriends Cyrus. He becomes training, he learns to shoot with guns, and he even joins Jessica's team and admits to being raped. And of course, how could we forget all of his amazing photography work and the wall of portraits he created where all of his friends were featured? It's simply jaw-dropping. And at number 1, Clay Jensen, the main man, the main protagonist, and the closest friend of Hannah Baker. He was the guy that helped her during the toughest periods in her life. He was in love with her, but he couldn't save her, all because he was too afraid to admit his true feelings. He knew he messed up, and the rest of the show, we got to see him trying to turn all of those mistakes around. I mean, you could just see how much he loves Hannah just by the speech he gave during her funeral. He is constantly on the lookout to help others, and he puts himself in harm's way just because he can't stand his cowardice. From a boy that's shy, we got to see Clay turn into a brave man that takes responsibility for his actions. And on that note, we end this video. But hey, who is your favorite actor from the series? You can tell us in the comment section below. If you'd like more videos like these, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss any of them. And as always, thanks for watching, guys.